Okay, let's get right into it. Inside every single living cell on this planet, from a tiny bacterium to, well, you, there's this incredibly detailed instruction manual. It's a blueprint that dictates literally everything, from the color of your eyes to how your body fights off a cold. Today, we're going to decode that manual, the amazing world of your genetic code. So what is this secret code? What's the language that life itself is written in? That is the big question, and we're going to answer it right now as we unpack the science of our own biological software. All right, first up, we've got to understand the basics of this blueprint. You can think of this part as learning the alphabet and the grammar of our genetic code before we start reading the incredible stories it has to tell. So, the whole field that studies this blueprint is called genetics. And it's not just about what genes are. It's about how they work, how they store information, how they express that information as actual traits, and, crucially, how all of that gets passed down from one generation to the next. Now, let's just take a second to appreciate the sheer scale of this thing. The entire instruction manual is called the genome, but it's super organized. Think of it like this. The genome is a massive library. Inside, the chromosomes are the bookshelves. The genes are the individual recipe books on those shelves, and the nucleotides, those are the actual letters written on the pages. Okay, so let's zoom in on one of those recipe books, a gene. A single gene is just a specific little piece of DNA that has one main job, to hold the instructions for building one specific thing. And that thing is almost always a protein. And proteins are the tiny little machines that do pretty much all the important work inside our cells. This brings us to a really key idea. The difference between your genotype and your phenotype. It's simple, really. Your genotype is the raw genetic code. It's the architect's blueprint. Your phenotype, on the other hand, is the finished building. It's all the stuff you can actually see. Your height, your hair color, all of it. One is the set of instructions, and the other is the final result. So, how does a static blueprint, just a code written in DNA, become a living, breathing, dynamic you? Well, it all comes down to this fundamental process that brings the entire code to life. This three-step dance is what scientists call the central dogma. First, for cells to divide and grow, the entire DNA blueprint has to be copied perfectly. That's step one, replication. But to use just one recipe, the cell doesn't drag the whole giant cookbook to the construction site, right? No way. Instead, it makes a quick temporary photocopy of a single page. That's step two, transcription. This creates a little message called RNA. And finally, that RNA message is read and, you guessed it, translated by the cell's machinery to build a specific protein. So it's blueprint to message to action. But how in the world did we figure all this out? I mean, this information wasn't just handed to us on a silver platter. It was a total scientific detective story that took decades and some seriously brilliant people to finally crack. And it was a long journey. It actually started way back in 1869, when a scientist named Miescher found this mysterious stuff in cells. For decades, nobody really knew what it did. Then, a huge clue. Experiments showed some kind of transforming principle could pass traits between bacteria. It wasn't until 1944 that a team of scientists proved that principle was, in fact, DNA. And the final nail in the coffin was the famous blender experiment in 1952, which totally sealed the deal. DNA was the stuff of life. And then came the big one, 1953. Watson, Crick, and the incredible Rosalind Franklin revealed the iconic double helix structure of DNA. The moment we saw that structure, that elegant, twisting ladder, we finally understood how this amazing molecule could store so much information and copy itself. The secret of life was officially out. But knowing the code was just the beginning. Today, we are in a completely new era. We've moved from just reading the blueprint of life to actively editing it. And that has absolutely revolutionary implications for medicine. And there are two main ways this is happening. First, there's gene therapy. That's like adding a brand new, correct page to the instruction manual to help work around a faulty one. Then there's gene editing, using powerful tools like CRISPR. This is way more precise. It's like going in with a tiny pen and literally fixing a typo on the original page itself. And I want to be clear, this is not science fiction. This is happening right now. Take sickle cell disease. First, doctors collect a patient's own stem cells. Then, in a lab, they use CRISPR to edit a specific gene, basically telling those cells to start making the healthy kind of hemoglobin again. Finally, they infuse those newly corrected cells back into the patient where they can get to work. It's personalized medicine on a molecular level. It's incredible. Which leaves us with a pretty profound final thought. For the first time in human history, we have the tools to rewrite the very code of life itself. We've gone from just reading the blueprint to holding the pen. So the question is no longer what can we do, but what should we do? What should we build?